Good evening. How are you all tonight? I was concerned about my walk-up song, but well done. ZZ Top will do. I did not get to pick mine, but that'll do. Well done. I am an 80s guy. My name is Greg Cunningham. I am running for Congressional District 2, and I'm going to address something that Ramona pointed out so accurately in her speech. She said, Congress, I'm going to quote you, Congress is a mess, right? Well, that's why I'm here. It is a mess, and I want the people of Chaparral to know that you are in Congressional District 2. There's a lot of confusion about that. That's why I'm here, to introduce myself to the folks here and let them know who I am and why I'm here. And I want to address Larry's question. That's another reason that I'm here, is once we flip this seat from Gabe Vasquez, we are going to keep control of the House, and we're going to be able to vote, codify things. So that's a very practical reason why I'm here. And I will get to some of the confidence things that I want to instill in people as to why we're here. But first, I do, very briefly, again, this is my first time here, and I do want to at least give a very brief overview of who I am and why I'm here. I am a native New Mexican. I was born and raised in Albuquerque. I'm a South Valley kid. I attended Manal High School, University of Albuquerque. In 1987, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I decided to pursue a different kind of education at that time. And my original intention was to get my degree, finish my degree, and go back as an officer. Well, I was a reconnaissance Marine, which for those of you that don't know that, that's Special Forces. It took me about 2 years to get all my certifications. I went back home, enrolled back in school, and had the fortune of being invited on a ride-along with a friend of mine who was an Albuquerque police officer. I got into that police unit, and maybe some of the men or women in this room can tell you the same story. That was it. The bug bit. I knew what I wanted to do. Just the lights and the computers and just the uniforms, that was the mission in my life. So I made it onto the Albuquerque Police Department in 1989, 64th Cadet class. While I was in the academy, right after I got out, Saddam Hussein decided he was going to annex Kuwait, the country of Kuwait, and my reconnaissance unit was activated. I went over to Desert Storm with 2nd Reconnaissance Battalion, 8th Marines out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I did get my combat action ribbon. I was an NCO in the Marines. I have led Marines in combat. I have been on that side of the world. For the people that are wondering why we are doing what we're doing over there, I don't have enough time to explain that to you, but I will be here afterward. I will be glad to have that conversation with you. But I can tell you from personal experience that what we are doing as a country over there right now needs to be done, and that is from a man that has been in combat in that theater. So I welcome that conversation at a later time. When I got home, I went back to work at the police department. I did 7 years in uniform in Albuquerque's toughest neighborhoods, what we used to call the war zone, which has been kindly renamed the International District now. I know, words matter, right? We're supposed to call things what they are. Calling something different doesn't make it different, right? So it's the International District now. I managed to earn Officer of the Month. I was asked to go to narcotics in 1996. It was a street team. That's just neighborhood problems. So I've been in these alleys, in these neighborhoods, solving problems for a long, long time. I have purchased probably more narcotics than anybody in this room, I would hope. Except actually there was a guy here that was in narcotics, so maybe not, maybe not. I was doing such good cases that the DEA agents took notice, and they asked me to, and the air conditioner went on, thank goodness, because it's warm in here. So I was sworn in as a task force officer at the Drug Enforcement Administration. And I worked federal cases at a federal level down here in Chaparral, in Las Cruces. I have authored federal Title IIIs, which are wiretaps. I have gone through doors down here. I've done surveillance down here. I've worked this border. As a matter of fact, I drove a load of dope, narcotics, from the Bridge of Americas to Albuquerque through here. So I have a very unique and personal experience with what happens. The human invasion, our president has done a really good job ending the human invasion of America. You know, now we're trying to close the barn door after the horse is out of the barn, right? But I can tell you that from a law enforcement standpoint, the same challenges that I faced 25 years ago, these men and women are still facing down here right now. And they need somebody in Congress that understands that has that relationship. And that's why I went to every man and woman in this room that was running for sheriff for both Otero and Dona Ana County. I want that relationship. My phone number will not change. I want these men and women to pick up the phone and say, this is what my county needs. And you won't have a representative there that has to understand what's happening or they have to explain. They will have someone there that has done that job and will give them the resources that they need to get the job done. So after DEA, I was asked to go to the Criminal Intelligence Unit, which is in the repeat offender section. It was kind of like the CIA of the police department. And I'll tell you a quick story since I have 11 minutes, and I know we're all getting to that point where I think our backsides are talking to us, not letting us pay attention to what's going on here, so I'll be quick. I was born and raised a South Valley Democrat. I was a Democrat until 2003. I worked an election in Albuquerque with Secret Service. It was President George Bush versus John Kerry. So I'm in a suit, and I'm working a John Kerry event. I'm working the rope line, which is where people want to shake hands. It's very chaotic. There's a lot going on. And I'm telling people, excuse me, Secret Service, excuse me, and they're not moving. They're standing their ground, they're elbowing me, they're whispering things under their breath, just a lot of anger. And I had never done it before. I thought, okay, this just must be how politics is. About 2 weeks later, President Bush came out. Same scenario, suit and tie, working the rope line with the president. This time, as I'm going through the crowd, I'm saying, excuse me, Secret Service, the people are moving out of the way. They're telling me, thank you for what you're doing for our president. Thank you for doing your job. And I really had sort of a weird moment of that. I think I'm a Republican. Those are my people. Well, thank you. So, plus, you know, I know I'm painting with a really broad brush, but that was my personal experience. And so in 2003, I went down to our county clerk in Bernalillo, and I switched to Republican. So that's who stands before you today. So in 2009, I retired after 20 years at APD. I was asked by the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department to work narcotics for them. So I did narcotics work for SO for 2 years. After 22 years in law enforcement, I had cheated death enough. The men and women in this room that work law enforcement will understand that. And I opened my own business. So I opened a security consulting business in New Mexico. So I've opened a business here. I've run a successful business here. I understand those challenges. I am a forward thinker when it comes to economics and economy. We need jobs. We need opportunities for our children and our grandchildren, and we need somebody representing us in Congress that understands that, and I do. In 2020, I attend a church in Albuquerque called Legacy Church. Some of you might know that our pastor got into a huge battle with the governor during COVID, closing churches down. So as I'm watching this, and Charlie Kirk, when he came to New Mexico, used to come to our church. So I met Charlie Kirk there. I heard him speak on several occasions. And really that was I've heard different people come up here and talk about their moments or why they're doing things, and that was my first political moment of enlightenment, like what's happening? Why is this happening to Americans? We're not supposed to be standing in bread lines. We're not supposed to be getting vaccines we don't want to get. You know, when I go to the store in Albuquerque, everything's locked up. You can't buy a razor, you can't, and I reject that theory, that ideology that that's normal. We're being conditioned to believe that that's normal, and it's not. And so I had that moment, and I decided to run for a House seat in Albuquerque, on Albuquerque's west side. Based on, you know, Charlie Kirk's and my pastor's encouragement, I decided to run for a House seat. And everybody told me, you can't win it. It's too Democrat, she's an incumbent. Well, the Marine in me got stubborn. And I said, you know what, watch me win. They were right, I lost. But what I did learn, I was a little politically naive, but what I did learn, and that's what all this is, right? Everything we do in life is training, right? For the next challenge, the next thing you do. So I learned how to run a campaign. I learned how to speak. You could argue, speak publicly. I'll say that out loud. You can disagree with that or not. I worked harder than anybody had worked for that seat. And so I gained a lot of people's respect. And so when this opportunity came up, there was people in the Republican Party that were trying to get me to run. And they wanted law enforcement, they wanted police experience, they knew I had run campaigns. I really wasn't ready for it at that point. So, but I did agree to take a call from the National Republican Congressional Committee. And this is where I want to start instilling confidence in you, okay? The first thing I asked that man was, make this make sense. How does somebody that just lost a House seat on Albuquerque's west side run for Congress with a straight face? I mean, really, make it make sense. He said, let me tell you something. President Trump won CD2, where we're sitting right now, in 2024. It is one of 13 seats in the country out of 400. Yes, that's CD2. 13 out of 435 in the country that the president won, but the Democrat won the seat. So I said, okay, that's impressive. In Albuquerque, where they gerrymandered Yvette Harrell out, which is what they did. Again, we're going to call things what they are. They gerrymandered her out. And we do have Yvette's endorsement, and she's endorsed us since October. Yes, she's been very good to us. I outperformed the president by 4 points in Albuquerque. So the mathematical path is there. That call was on September 10th. About 3 hours later, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and I knew at that moment what I was supposed to do. Everything made sense mathematically, it made sense politically, and now it made sense spiritually. This is a spiritual battle that we're in. It is being played out in the political world, but we are fighting for our children and grandchildren's souls. And I keep talking about children and grandchildren. My wife and I have 6 children and 9 grandchildren between us. Only 2 children are left in Albuquerque and 2 grandchildren. The rest are all over the world. I can't tell them to come home. There's no jobs, there's no opportunity. The schools are bad, the streets aren't safe. So instead of running, this is my home. This is where I come from. The people of Chaparral share the same goals that I have. We all want safer streets, better schools, more opportunity, and freedom. And that is what I offer. That is the alternative that I offer to what is currently being offered to us right now by Gabe Vasquez. I am the antithesis of Gabe Vasquez. Everything that man is, I am the exact opposite of, and I say that very proudly. So thank you.